So we're going to look at two views today. One is rationalism, the other is empiricism. They're views within the philosophical tradition of epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowledge, where we get knowledge from. And the two views, rationalism thinks that we get knowledge from reason, hence rational, and empiricism thinks that we get knowledge from our senses, like the word empirical, for instance. So the key idea here then is this distinction between reason being the source of ultimate knowledge or key knowledge, and or the senses being the only source of knowledge. Now, I just want to pause for a second and talk about what knowledge actually is. Probably important. It seems like the sort of thing you'd never need to define, isn't it? You're in school trying to acquire knowledge. Why do you need to know what it is? Well, Plato had this definition. He thought that knowledge was something that was justified. So we have kind of a reason to believe it. Of course, it may be justified and wrong. Okay, so Aristotle, for instance, thought that heavier objects fell faster than light objects. That was unfortunately incorrect. So we also need it to be true. And of course, it could be justified and true, and we could still not believe it, like the Earth being flat. If you've ever seen a flat earther talk, you know that not everybody can believe justified true things. So it has to be a justified true belief. So we're really looking at knowledge as a justified true belief, and where this knowledge comes from. Is it from reason or from the senses? These two views, rationalism and empiricism. That was I think, quite a good little reveal. You may disagree, of course. Rationalism, remember, holds that we get it from the rational, the reason, and empiricism, we get knowledge from the senses. This is really embodied here in this central part of Raphael's The School of Athens. On the left here, we have Plato pointing up towards what we call the realm of the forms, this rational realm where we get our abstract ideas from, and Aristotle here pointing out towards the ground, saying, we gain our knowledge through empirical means, through sensing the world. So let's just give ourselves a quick definition of the two. I'm going to go to my definition color. So actually, I'll put it in my normal color first. Important knowledge for rationalism. Now, rationalists tend not to believe that all knowledge is rational, okay, is gained from reason alone, but rather important knowledge or kind of foundational key knowledge. Important knowledge is gained what we call a priori. A priori, I'm just making a nice little box for it there. A priori is, as you know, through reason alone. So through reason. Hence, for symbolizing rationalism, I have this little thought bubble. Whereas empiricism takes a rather different claim. Empiricism says that important knowledge, or indeed all knowledge, at least all knowledge that matters, right? All synthetic knowledge is gained. Do you remember what synthetic means? Synthetic is a sentence that actually means something more than just what Hume calls a relation of ideas. All knowledge is gained a posteriori. A posteriori being through reason. Not through reason. Wow. Don't listen to me. Through experience. Okay, so those are our two Very, very different views. And we're going to spend a while just having a look at a couple of the key actors here. One of them is Plato. Now, Plato believed that there was this this realm of the forms, this non-physical, eternal realm of the forms. And in this realm of the forms are all what we call universals, categories of things. Like you're currently watching this on a computer, but it is an example of a computer, it's an instance of a computer. Plato thought that computers, well, he didn't think about computers, obviously, but computers and things also partake or take part in what we call a universal. There is a type that is computer, and your friend who also has a computer is watching it on something else that represents a computer as well. Let me put it another way. There are ideas and there are things. These ideas apply to lots of things. Those ideas are what we call forms. So this realm of the forms is a set of kind of non-physical, abstract, eternal ideas. Now these non-physical, abstract, eternal ideas, they are the source of all of our true knowledge. How did you know that the thing in front of you was a computer instead of an orange or something? It looks like other computers because they all partake of the form of computer. They all take part in that form, that computer form. So this great category of thing, our ideas that we have, they all have something that is more than just temporary. Plato says if you look at the world around you, the world is full of changing things, things that come and go. But our ideas, they always stay. They are eternal. Well, if that is the case, if, for instance, I don't know, 2 plus 2 equals 4 is always true, whether you're in ancient Greek like Plato or you live in modern times like us, if there is genuinely a concept of the good, let's say, that never really changes, though our interpretation may, if there is such a thing as not just a chair like the chair you're sat on, but an actual perfect chair, the definition of a chair, well, those things don't change. They can't come from the world of changing things, so they must come from this abstract idea here, which is why Plato is pointing upwards. He's pointing towards the realm of the forms. We gain our knowledge a priori. Aristotle, on the other hand, who was his student, thought that we can understand these abstract concepts like numbers and good and chair not through reason, but simply through experience. We can, he thinks, categorize things just through looking at them. So through experience, which is called a posteriori, right? And he thought you could actually break everything down into essentially 4 categories. These categories, by the way, are what he calls the 4 causes. Now, a cause here is really like an item rather than anything else. It's not the thing that causes something else, just to be confusing, you know. So the first one, hey, let's be more confusing. The first one is called a form. That's the design of the object. So we'll call it formal. just to help us. The formal cause is the design, the shape of the thing, what it is for. The next thing is the material cause. The material, in this case, I'm sticking with the concept of chair. The material is wood, the thing that it is made out of. That's what the material thing is. The next one is the efficient cause. That's the only one that actually is a cause. In this case, the thing that brings it about. So we've got a hammer and a screwdriver. I spent quite a while drawing that hammer and screwdriver. You probably can't tell. And then, of course, we have the final cause, or the telos, which is actually the purpose. And you guessed it, the purpose of sitting on a chair. A chair is to sit on it. These things, he thinks, can help us distinguish one sort of thing from another, and that is all gained a posteriori. Now, this debate, which really began in ancient Athens between Plato and Aristotle, continues throughout the modern era. And I just want to, for a minute, give you an idea of where it goes. On the one side, on the rationalist side, we have someone like Descartes. Now, Descartes thinks that there are certain things that can be known a priori. The foundational things that he thinks can't be doubted. He thinks the empiricists have it wrong because their knowledge is temporary. It changes. It might at this moment be right that, say, wax is hard in a cold room, and that's what our senses tell us, but in a warm room it's melted. Very warm room, it's melted. So our senses tell us something different. Our senses, he thinks, lie to us. So the only true knowledge that we have is a priori. He says I can doubt every part of my knowledge apart from the fact that I am doubting. I can doubt everything. I can think that I'm not thinking, but I'm still thinking. So he knows that I exist, and he knows this a priori. The idea for Descartes is that certain key things can be known a priori. A priori, you remember, is through reason. On the other side of the debate, we have David Hume. Now, Hume believed that we could modify Aristotle's idea and develop a little bit. The world that exists out there is a mess that we don't exactly perceive directly. That's why I've drawn this little bundle of things. Instead, that mess, that objective world, enters our senses. And our senses then feed the information to our brain. And our brain then puts it together. It takes all of these simple ideas like colour and shape and size, and it puts it together and it sees all brown and hard and rectangular edges, and it starts making an abstract idea, like a chair. So, on the one side, we have rationalism. Rationalism thinks that we can gain knowledge a priori. We can gain knowledge through the sense, through reason alone. And then we have Plato as an example of that, who, in a very old-fashioned way, thinks that there's this kind of world of the forms, abstract ideas that our mind accesses and remembers. And then Descartes, who thinks that through reason alone, we can establish things like I exist as a thinking thing. On the other side, we have empiricism, which thinks that we can gain knowledge a posteriori, that is, through experience. Aristotle's a really good example of this. He thinks that we can divide things up into their four causes: the formal, the shape, the material it's made from, the thing that's caused it, and the purpose of it. Hume kind of breaks this down another stage, and he says that actually what we have are the outside world, which enter our senses and cause impressions, which are kind of forceful experience, which can then be turned into ideas, into concepts. So that is it: rationalism versus empiricism.